Doesn't it sound like heaven to love your teen so well that they can't help themselves but love you back? Welcome to Pivot Parenting. I'm your host, Heather Frazier. And together, you and I are going to build more peace and joy so that your family looks forward to being together in the fun times and so that you are strong enough to overcome any obstacle that your family might face. This is where small weekly shifts that you implement create lasting change so that peace and happiness can truly abound in your home. Welcome to today's episode of Pivot Parenting, my friend. I'm excited to have you here. And I have a question. When you're thinking about your teen, do you typically experience worry, frustration, a need for them to change or for you to have more control over what's happening so that you can rest easy? Do you feel yourself bouncing between anger and apathy, just trying to find somewhere soft to land? Do you care so much about them that you find yourself being tied into a pretzel just to please them, and then that is even short-lived and unappreciated? If this is at all relatable, you could be misunderstanding and misapplying love in your family. Welcome to my 12-episode series on love. Today, we are going to talk about loving yourself. And this will be part of the process on putting fear, frustration, and heartbreak behind us as I teach you how to love so well that your relationship with them and yourself can't help but improve. I want to challenge you to begin at the beginning. This is episode 311. It is the second installment. If you have not listened to episode 310 on safety, I invite you to listen to that. These first three are really important as they build on each other to create a stable base to add all of the additional 9 nuanced podcast episodes about love. The first 3 have to be well understood to really get the most out of the other more nuanced aspects of love. And with that, let's dig right in. It is March and it has been absolutely beautiful. And the other night, sometimes inspiration strikes me in unique situations, but oftentimes it's when I'm very still and quiet. And maybe this is the same for you. I think it's pretty common. And I was desperately trying to fall asleep. And as I was laying there, I was thinking about razors. And I know that sounds really bizarre, but I was just thinking about how good it feels when you shave your legs, and that happens to be on the same day that you wash your sheets. Ladies, am I right? You shave your legs and then you're wearing shorts or a nightie or something, and you get into bed, and the sheets on freshly shaven legs is delightful. And I thought how easy it would be for this razor that can provide such a satisfying, pleasing sensation can also wound and hurt. And it's a common tool in self-harm. Because if you rub the razor side to side, it cuts you. Just like any newbie to razors has run their finger across the blade about ready to shave their legs for the first time and realize their finger's bleeding because you can't rub the blade side to side. You cut yourself. And the razor is so fine that you don't really feel the wound until you see the result, the blood. And as you and I both know, my fellow ladies and gentlemen, when you nick yourself with a razor, it bleeds like crazy and it stings really bad, whether it's on your face or your legs. Shaving is a precarious work, but if you do it right, it is quite satisfying. As I was thinking about razors in my delirium of halfway asleep, halfway awake, I just thought, this is really interesting and really valuable because the razor is the same. in either situation, whether we rub it side to side or pull up on it. The difference is the direction that we take the razor. But the razor is the same. It's just doing its job. And I thought, I really like this. How can I apply it for my listeners on my podcast? And I was mulling it over, and I realized that this is exactly the same concept as when or how we choose to look at ourselves, because we can't help but choose to have opinions about ourselves and inner dialogue and how we view ourselves. And oftentimes this has been handed to us from our families of origin, from culture and society and experience, and then just our habits that our brain has come hardwired with and that we have developed over time. So our family of origin, for example, if you had parents that were always hard on you and overly critical, those voices might repeat in your head. And I have to say, a little triumph that I have had. I have 3 daughters. My 2 youngest, one cannot tolerate compliments. And the other one says, I know, thank you, and like smiles and eats it up. And I love telling my kids how amazing they are, how smart they are, how they fill my heart with joy and sunshine and happiness just because of who they are. They didn't do anything to earn it. I just look at them and I am delighted. And one likes that and one does not. Same thing. We can feed these ideas to our children, and then they can choose to embrace them or not. Our spouses can inform our self-concept if they are loving and accepting or critical. And then, of course, we have society and the beauty industry. Do I need to say more? The beauty industry, the fashion industry, consumerism. I think that goes to explain itself. They can't sell products if we like ourselves, and so they tell us all the things that are wrong with us so that then they can sell us products to fix the problem. And we all fall for this to varying degrees. What is universal is the razor, is the concept of self-concept. We can't not have one. We all view ourselves, and sometimes we do it in comparison to maybe our sister or our neighbor or the young model in the ad. And sometimes we compare ourselves to our past self or to an expectation of where we thought we would be or who we should be. But comparison's really common. And then we rate ourselves. If we're failing, if we're succeeding, if we're barely getting by. This is where imposter syndrome is born. This is where self-loathing or self-love is born. And we radiate that out, our confidence or self-judgment, to all of those around us. And it can play out in really unique ways. One way that really fascinates me is when I find myself wanting to toot my own horn. Because that to me is like, oh, I feel insecure in this situation. I'm trying to gain praise by other people seeing how great I am. Or when I hear people bragging, I think they're actually really insecure. And isn't that fascinating? And I wonder why they're insecure. They're so amazing. Another way insecurity and a lack of self-love shows up is in bullying or being unkind or cruel. People who love themselves don't feel threatened by others, and they don't feel the need to tear them down. We do that because we want to feel better about ourselves. Or when I see people practicing false humility, like, no, I'm not that great. I don't know why you think that. I'm kind of lame. I'm not that funny. And it's fascinating to me to watch people's self-concept be revealed in ways that they don't recognize or realize. But subconsciously, we track this in our own bodies and with one another. If I were to ask your children, for example, what does your mom dislike about herself? Or what is your dad least proud of or most proud of? I'm guessing they would have good answers. Just like if I asked you, what is your child embarrassed about or really proud of? And I think it's okay to be proud of your accomplishments and all of the things that are beautiful and wonderful about each of us as unique individuals. Imagine your teen walking into the room and your heart skips a beat because you're so excited to see them. Just connection, love, and peace flowing between you. You're confident that no matter their mood, it's going to be okay. This is the powerful skill set my clients gain. Book a free Discover Your Disconnection Pattern call with me, and I will outline your exact process to find the peace, connection, and confidence in your teen and their future you're wanting. Visit my website, heatherfraser.com, or click the link in the show notes. Remember, Fraser is spelled with a Z-I in the middle. I look forward to meeting and helping you. All right, I have a question for you. It's pop quiz time. Put on your thinking caps. What's the opposite of self-loathing? Some people might say arrogance, maybe thinking we're the best. Some people might say it is pride. Some people might say it's self-love or self-acceptance. Sometimes I get a better understanding of a word when I consider what I would think opposes it, just to flesh out both sides. And a lot of people say, well, if I'm not hard on myself, then I'll never do anything better. I won't improve. And I could become proud, boastful, lazy. And I don't want that. So then we're stuck between a rock and a hard spot. Between beating ourselves up for what isn't great, like mistakes, flaws, failures, things people tell us are wrong with us. And then also not wanting to be arrogant, not wanting to be proud. So we can't win because we know both to be bad and both to be harmful to our mental, emotional, spiritual well-being. So then we bounce between letting ourselves off the hook of saying, well, everybody yells at their kids. Everybody swears sometimes at their kids, calls them bad words, and thinking that we're the worst for calling our kid a bad word. And it's interesting. I see a lot of ping-ponging in different ways. Another way parents often ping-pong is anger and then giving up and then being angry or trying to manipulate, control, help. And then their teenager pushes and it doesn't go well. And so they throw up their arms and say, forget about it. Do it yourself. That's another ping-pong between two things. But what we don't realize is there's a third option. The third option that I want to introduce to you today is actually self-love. Now, the reason why we don't recognize it is because we have this misguided desire to be good, to be worthy. And we think that it's prideful if we like ourselves or that love must be earned. And we are taught this oftentimes by our family of origin and certainly by mainstream media, that we have to earn people's respect, that we have to earn love, that we have to earn trust. We should recognize that it's actually just a choice and there's nothing to be earned. We can choose to trust somebody or we choose not to trust somebody. We can choose to love ourselves or we can choose not to love ourselves. We can choose to love our kid no matter what or choose to love them only when we want to, which is actually just a form of manipulation and not love at all. But this is perfectionism. It is believing that love is a prize to be earned. And the problem with it is that we think once we lose the weight, once we have a clean house, once we have a good relationship with our teen, then we can love ourselves again. The problem is that that dangling carrot that we are chasing it just shape shifts, man. And you and I both know this because we'll get the house or we'll get the husband or we'll get whatever it is, the good relationship or the good conversation we had with our kid. And their brain was like, that was nice, but actually you have to do this to love yourself. And it's like the carrot that always is moving in front of you. You never reach it. It's a mirage. It is a mirage where we can live and be happy and love ourselves once we get there. But it always disappears by the time we get there. Or it's very short-lived. It lasts for a few minutes. Love is a law, not a reward. We are commanded to love. One of my most favorite philosophers is Adam Miller. And he gave a phenomenal speech on love is a law, not a reward. And I learned a lot about love from that talk. And I've referenced it before, and I can put the link in my show notes. But this is the third option of recognizing what self-love is and is not. And it is not perfectionism. And it is not harming yourself until you are worthy of love. I had an interesting conversation with my nephew, and he was struggling. He was having a hard time, and he was really being down on himself. And it broke my heart because he is an amazing human. Perfect? No, because none of us are perfect. But we were talking about it, and I said, well, what about a baby? What about a baby who doesn't do anything? In fact, they're kind of demanding, and you have to do everything for them. You have diapering, feeding, sleeping, carting them everywhere. They can't even walk. They're just like these little slugs that just leech everything they need from us. Now, I love babies. They're super cute. But I was spinning it, and he thought about it for a minute, and he's like, well, it's because of their potential. That's why we love them, because the potential of what they're going to be. And so then I said, okay, what about somebody who's handicapped, who loses a lot of the potential that maybe they once had because they're in an accident and now they can't walk, or they're quadriplegic, or they have a cognitive or mental disorder, or they're Down syndrome, chromosomal issue. Are they less worthy of love because they have less potential? And this really stopped him in his tracks because of that ingrained belief that love is to be earned, that love is a prize. And we punish ourselves when we think we haven't earned it. And we praise ourselves and we think we're better than people when we think we have earned it. Both are wrong. That's actually pride. It's pride in thinking other people are better than you or you're better than other people. There is no hierarchy in love. Everybody is worthy of love, even an infant, even someone who has different potential than the rest of us. It's irrelevant because love is something that changes us. And they might benefit from it too. Everybody loves to be loved. But love is something that changes our hearts and makes us better people. At surface value, you might think love is altruistic, but to truly love yourself, to love your neighbor, it is more than altruistic. It is self-beneficial. Because unlike what people think, if I just love myself enough, then I will just sit around and be lazy and not ever do anything. It's actually not true. What usually happens is we take a minute to catch our breath, to get the rest that we deserve, and then we crush it. Because all of a sudden we're motivated by love instead of self-loathing. And guess what feels so much better? Love. Just like when you love your child so much and you're setting up for their birthday or for Christmas, or they're coming home from college and you're just pumped the whole day and you get a ton done because you love them so much. Versus how much you get done when you're not excited to see them, when you're dreading it. the same thing for ourselves. When we love ourselves, we treat ourselves with respect. We don't put up with people trash talking us and false friends. We don't put garbage into our bodies. We get enough sleep, or we try to get enough sleep. We respect ourselves, which means we are kind to ourselves, which means we are more productive because now we have better fuel in our body and more sleep under our belt, and we are weeding out people who do not bless and enrich our lives. That's the benefit of loving yourself. And it's not a prize. You're worthy of it right now. You are worthy of loving yourself right now. I don't care if you're still in your pajamas. I don't care if your house is a mess. I don't care if you just got divorced. I don't care if your kids don't want to talk to you. You are 100% worthy and capable of loving yourself. Nothing has to change because love is not a prize. Some people think that this is pride, but it is actually not. This is humility. Humility is saying, I am a hot mess and I still choose to love myself because I also know that I'm really good at loving my kids and I'm really good at cooking lasagna. And sometimes I do it and sometimes I don't, but I'm good at it. And I'm good at hugging my kids and I'm good at forgiving them. I'm not good at forgiving myself, and I'm working on that. And I am still worthy of love. That's humility. Humility is saying, I'm kind of messed up and I'm kind of awesome, and so is the next person. Humility, there is no hierarchy. It's everybody has different skills, qualities, quirks, problems that they're trying to solve. And none of that makes any of us more worthy or less worthy of love, because love is a commandment. It is the first and second commandment. Love the Lord thy God, and then love yourself as your neighbor. Those are the commandments. And it's interesting because, I am a woman of faith. And some people might say that faith and psychology do not mix. But the more I study of both, the more I realize that our maker is the master psychologist. Odd how our Lord and Savior understands the inner workings of our brains, and how Scripture, when understood properly and with correct translation, it plays in perfectly with all the modern day psychological information. Because when we can love ourselves and not create hierarchies, like Christ taught, we are so much more peaceful, productive, happy, and that aligns us to make better relationships with those around us. So, there is no need to compare to anything other than what brings out the best in us. And that is our growth. And this is something that actually we all discount. But look at all you have accomplished and learned over the last few months, over the last few years. Subtle changes tend to be discounted or overlooked, but it's actually really valuable. And when we look back and we can acknowledge with gratitude how we have improved, how we have done better, it helps us to see that we are growing, we are evolving, we are changing in ways that are appropriate for all the things we're dealing with. Life is messy, and you and we're juggling 10 balls at once, and sometimes some balls fall, and that is okay. It's okay to forget things. It's okay to say no to things. It is okay to fail. It does not make you less worthy of love. This is how it plays into parenting. Let's be real. Our kids track our habits. They model what we show them as examples. Do we want them to love themselves? Yes, because they're the best. They are amazing. And we want them to love themselves. Can you imagine how much farther ahead in the world they will be if they could embrace humility as I just taught it? That, yeah, I'm working on some things and I'm crushing it over here. And neither affects my ability to be loved or to love. Wouldn't that be magical? Now, I know that this is hard to do if we grew up with parents who withheld praise or attention when we weren't perfect. I can help you move through this. Find another mental health professional that can help you move through this, but let's not pass it on to our kids. We just want to love the crap out of them when they're naughty so that they're farther ahead than maybe what we grew up with. Because if we show them that they are worthy of love at their worst and that love has nothing to do with their behavior, we are giving them a massive, massive gift. And this is one of the main foundation pieces of being able to love our child more and to express in a more understandable language how much we love them. And it starts with loving yourself. This is not selfish. It is like putting on the oxygen mask on the airplane. I have seen parents try to love their children more than they are capable of loving themselves. And it's possible. We definitely can love our kids more than we love ourselves. But we don't want to pass that on. We want to do better than that. We want to love ourselves more fully so we can connect to them more fully and so that they are a more whole, loving person because of our example. Love is the most powerful force on earth, and we need to channel it through ourselves to better affect our children. Give this a try. If you need help in the details of application, I get it. This is a tricky thing. Please reach out to me. I do a free consult where we can just talk it over. You can push back on what you disagree with. We can discuss all the ways that self-love could benefit you and your children or anything else that's going on. The link to book that call is in the show notes, and I'm always here for you. So reach out if I can assist you in any way, and we will talk to you next week on the third foundational piece of love.
Heather is the one, an expert in the field. She knows her parenting stuff, including how confusing it can be. You've tried it all, and it's a lost cause. Crying in the closet 'cause you failed at being a mom. But think again, there's peace around the corner and there's hope in your hands. Your kid just wants your